and welcome to Becoming an Artist, Creative Secrets Revealed. And in this episode, I'm going to be chatting to Jin from Jin Designs, who is a fantastic creator of a brand of homeware products. And she's going to be talking to us about her journey, her ups and downs, from where she started sort of as a graphic designer, going through to being an amazing business owner, and how she got through those tough times and come out the other side and has been running her business now for 10 years. So remember to subscribe if you want more episodes like this one and to find out how to become an artist. And also remember to go to becominganartist.co.uk, where you'll find all of the paths I've drawn from all of the interviews, including this one. So becoming a homeware brand creator is the title of this one, and you can find all of these paths, all of the links and resources that people that I've interviewed have given as well. So I hope you enjoy it and take care. Today I'm here with the one and only Jin of Jin Designs, who creates beautiful homeware products with classically simple designs and with a focus on bringing comfort, joy and charm into your home through quality British made products. Her first design was the sitting cat, which is still about, and from there she's developed many more product ranges, mostly animal themed. And she also has a very cute studio helper cat called Pebbles. How is Pebbles? She all right?
She's fine. She's hiding at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, why is she hiding?
She just she's shy. So in the morning when there's a lot of noise going on, she kind of hides away, and then she'll come out.
Hides away.
And she'll be sleeping with us all day.
Her.
Yeah.
Oh, she's very cute.
Thank you.
What's her Instagram again for people?
It's Pebbles by the sea? Pebbles by the sea, but underscores in between the words.
All the underscores.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, she didn't think that one through.
So
yeah, okay.
Was it not all could you not do the whole words, like all the words together? Or was that
I don't know. I can't remember why I did that. Well, why she did that at the time. I'm not sure.
Why did she do that?
Why did she do that?
She just
crazy
made
cat.
bad Instagram decisions.
I know. Yeah.
So I would like to talk about your journey and how you've got to kind of creating all these beautiful products and owning your business and things like that. So I want to kind of start from the beginning, because I know when I met you were, which was a long time ago, when we went to a networking event together, I think. Is that when we met?
I think so.
You were a graphic designer?
Yeah,
I think
that's
it was
right.
a networking thing.
Yeah.
So before that, let's rewind. So when you were a kid, were you really into creating things, making things, that sort of stuff?
I can't say, I don't think I was very artistic. I loved like drawing cartoons and stuff.
Yeah.
And I used to create these little comics.
Yeah.
That was I remember doing that, and I liked art, as in, you know, sometimes the teacher would get you to draw a trainer or something, and you'd copy the trainer, some things like that, projects like that. But I don't see myself as artistic. I guess I like. Yeah, it's more. I guess it's more.
Do you see yourself more as a designer then?
Making things look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I should do after all these years.
Yeah, you should.
I should see myself. I define myself as a graphic designer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm not trained in graphic design.
Okay, so you didn't do that at uni or anything like that.
The way.
You didn't study it or anything like that.
No, I didn't.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's interesting. So what?
No,
so did you go to uni?
Useful...
What did you do at uni?
Yeah, I did. I went to Leeds Uni.
Yeah.
I did a very useful history and Greek civilization degree, which
fantastic.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it. I mean,
that
really
sounds fun. That sounds really interesting. But then, what do you do afterwards?
Yeah, it just exactly that was the problem.
Did you try to do something with it afterwards?
But back when no, I just kind of drifted along through my 20s.
Okay.
Trying different jobs. I did a lot of temping jobs.
Yeah.
And then that's how I ended up doing the getting into like graphic design and
Okay.
web design.
Right.
I was just going through all these random admin jobs and things. I thought I'm going to try and learn HTML and web design because there was like a course on a local college.
Oh,
So I
great.
did like an 8-week course and that was good. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then I saw that there was a job going in the college design studio. So I applied
Fantastic.
for that and got that. And then that was kind of my first experience of working with other designers
Yeah.
and working on design jobs. I did a lot of like formatting, back then using Quark. I don't know if you
God,
remember that one.
yeah, that's going back
Um,
far, far in
yeah,
my brain. So that was
I
kind of
know,
like
long time. Yeah,
InDesign, wasn't it? I suppose. Is that right? Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
InDesign kind of was running alongside for a bit and then it took
Yeah.
over. Um,
So you were doing all of that kind of
yeah,
stuff in the
so
studio.
that, yeah, really interesting. Really liked that job. And
Yeah.
then obviously that was a platform for going on from there and going into other graphic design jobs. So I got a job after that as an in-house designer for a travel company and worked there for a
Okay,
few
cool.
years. Yeah, and it was kind of during that when yeah, I was offered. I was going to get made redundant, basically.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, well, this is the chance. I'd built up a few kind of freelance clients on the side of my job anyway.
Oh,
So
great.
I had a bit of like part-time work going on,
Yeah.
and that kind of being made redundant just gave me the leap to go for it, really. Scary times, but
I think the same thing happened to me actually.
mm,
Yeah. I think yeah, like I've worked for a few startups and sort of
yeah,
been made redundant a couple
I
of
know, that's
times
right.
and just sort of had to go, yeah, into freelancing and things.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's just, yeah, it is scary, but it's a great thing to do, isn't it? It's like
it is.
it's really exciting because you don't know what you're going to be doing
I
next.
know.
You don't know and you're just kind of having to put yourself out there and find this work.
Yeah,
So how did you find that experience of kind of the beginnings of it? Were you like just terrified
it was scary.
and
Yeah, it was scary.
yeah,
I remember because I'd come from a busy office and then I was sitting there in my little room at home thinking, what am I going to
yeah.
do?
What have I done?
Yeah. And it was really, it was scary and like not having the monthly salary and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but it does force you to kind of really put yourself out there, like you say.
yeah,
You can't just sit there. You can't sit there watching daytime TV. You've got bills to pay.
yeah. That's it.
So that's kind of people say, "Oh, how do you get motivated when you work from home?" And it's like,
I
well,
know. I
you
don't
have
understand that
to because
question.
you've got to. I know
You just do it. You
you've
just
got to
do
have the
it.
money coming in.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
it's a
So
funny thing.
it's good. I've learned a lot
Yeah,
from it. But
yeah. So did you? I guess
yeah,
you, because I met you at a networking event. So I guess that's kind of how you got some of your work was when you were freelance was
yeah,
through
it
doing
was, and
that.
then it was mainly yeah, it was word of mouth, a lot of it as well.
Yeah.
Networking I never enjoyed.
No,
I
it's always a
really had
bit.
to force myself to do that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we all struggle with
um,
that at the beginning. Um, but yeah, it's
I
it's
know.
it's quite a weird thing to do. You've got all these people in a room who don't know each other, and you have to go and
Yeah,
force yourself to talk to these strangers, and it's just it doesn't come naturally to a lot of
mm,
us, I think. It's a
I
scary
know. I
thing.
think I just spent a lot of time standing there listening to someone
Just
talking.
sort of
You
edging
get
into
kind
the
of cornered.
conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi.
It was really hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But do
yeah,
you think it
difficult.
helped you? Do you think that kind of experience of being freelance has helped you in your business now?
Yes, I think it does force you to kind of be more proactive.
Yeah.
Um, you're not relying on anyone else to get the job. work other than yourself.
Yeah.
But obviously, I kind of went from freelance to then creating my own products, and I guess becoming more of a small business e-commerce store, really. So that was a bit of a transition from.
Can you talk to me a bit about how that kind of thought process happened? So because you were doing all your graphic design work, and then you just were like, this isn't enough for me, this isn't what I want to do. Was there just kind of an instant where you were like, no, this is it? Or was it a kind of a something that happened over time that you
Yeah.
kind of started thinking about? What was the kind of impetus? What was the story behind that happening?
Well, I moved down to Brighton, and realised, tried to move my work down here as well, which was fine because I had clients. I didn't have to see the clients.
Yeah.
But I found it like down here is incredibly creative.
Yeah.
And I found I just wasn't getting the work, and I didn't have the like history of people that I knew up where I was working before in Manchester.
Yeah.
And I just I was struggling money wise, and also the whole industry was changing. So I'd been designing like logos and websites, and now people were like saying, well, I can just buy a logo for 20 quid off the internet.
Yeah.
And it's like my whole kind of industry and work and skills were kind of being made redundant again.
Yeah.
I know there is still jobs out there where you can do that, but I
Yeah.
was just finding it harder and constantly having to justify my pricing and my work. And
Yeah.
well, just coming up against people where I can buy an off the shelf website now. So
Yeah.
why would I need you?
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm going to have to change what I do. But I guess I did get tired of, I wanted to create my own stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I was constantly kind of creating what other people wanted, obviously putting my take on it. But you know what it's like.
Yeah.
You get clients say, oh, can you make
Yeah.
it like this? Can you do
I
that?
know.
Yes. And it's very,
Yeah.
it's a bit soul destroying, isn't it? When you think you've got
Absolutely.
something
Yeah.
great.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you get great clients, sometimes you get fantastic clients who
Yes.
work with you and,
Yeah.
have ideas, but they give you the freedom to kind of take what they kind of suggest
Totally.
and put your vision, and they're just really great at communicating. So, there are,
Totally. Yeah.
if you can find those lovely clients, then it's fantastic. But yeah, obviously you have the other end of the scale where it can be difficult and soul destroying, and sort of someone just sort of telling you, being very prescriptive, I suppose, about what they want in some ways, or giving you bad information to start off with. That's a classic one, isn't it?
Yeah,
They
that's
don't know
true.
what they want and tell you to do something,
I
and then you're
know.
like, and they're like, no, I didn't want that.
I know. I know.
So yeah,
The
that's
design, the
tricky.
all important design brief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist
Um,
quite often. Yeah.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to be too negative about that. Maybe it was, a time for a change for me as well
Yeah,
to
it sounds
try.
like it. It sounds like you wanted to create something of your own. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Well, that was what I wanted to do, and to be honest, I did think, okay, I'm going to create my own products. I'll
Yeah.
open an online shop,
Yeah.
and people will come.
Yeah.
And of course, it's not that easy.
No.
But yeah, it was a big learning curve.
And where did you go to learn
Still
about how
learning.
to do? Yeah, obviously, we always, is always going to be a process. But did you just go into it kind of not doing, like, not sort of asking other business owners, or did you just, or reading about how you did it or how other people had done it, or were you just like, right, I'm just going to do it, and you did it?
I looked at other
Yeah.
competitors' websites to see the kind of thing that they were offering, and I kept thinking, well, I know that I could offer
Yeah. You
something
can.
else, like
Yeah.
an alternative,
Yeah.
and I knew that I had something to offer.
Yeah.
Particularly with like, I was obviously quite keen to get my cat designs
Yeah.
out into the public.
Yeah.
So I can't remember if I really did I must have done a lot of research, but I don't
Yeah.
remember talking to many other businesses because I felt quite alone in the whole process at the beginning.
Right.
Because it is a lot different now. Like you've got Instagram, and I think it is a lot easier to connect with people. But I'm going back like 10 years, and
Yeah. So
we did
Instagram
have
had,
Instagram, obviously, but
yeah, it only just started, I think, then, though, hadn't it? Or had it been going? I don't know when it started. Was it like 2010 or something,
it was,
maybe?
yeah, you just didn't have that kind of community thing
Yeah.
that you do now with like Facebook
Yeah.
but yeah, so I think I was quite alone in the whole process. Um, but kind of just felt my way, kind of researching
Yeah.
online, that kind of stuff, looking for suppliers, people
Yeah.
to work with in that way and getting the products.
Yeah.
But I really didn't know what I was doing. It was very much like learning from scratch. I really wanted it to work.
That's amazing to just sort of have this idea and this belief and then go and do it. I think that's such a cool thing about your journey, that you made that decision and did it, and you're here 10 years later, and that's incredible. So I know it's been hard,
Yeah, it's interesting, really.
but yeah.
Yeah, because I've never really thought of myself as having a path. I've always like floated along, and
Yeah.
then I found this really, and it's the one thing that I really like stuck at.
Yeah.
So,
And it so you mentioned it was quite difficult at the beginning. Is that so? What kind of, how did you get through that bit at the beginning when it was hard?
yeah, I think the first 3 years were probably the hardest.
Yeah.
Just trying to do everything on my own.
Right.
Not really very good at outsourcing anything, which I think I would probably do differently now.
Yeah.
But I guess it was just trial and error at the beginning. Trying. Well, I guess one of the good things was meeting other business owners, and I did quite a lot of fairs and events at the beginning,
Yeah.
and that was kind of a bit just knowing that there's other people out there doing the same as you, going
Yeah.
through the same stuff and sharing stories. That was really helpful. So I think, yeah, if you're kind of starting out, that would be my one bit of advice, would be to try and find people in doing similar
Yeah.
stuff and just, yeah, talk to
Yeah.
them, because it just go for coffee, whatever, and or talk online, whatever, but just know that you're not doing it on your own, because it's quite difficult to share it with, say, a partner or family.
Yeah.
Nobody really quite understands what you're doing, and why don't you go and get a proper job, kind of thing.
I hope no one said that to you.
I know my mum's great at not proper job, but she's obviously worried. She was worried about me, so her kind of way of dealing that was to say, oh, just get a regular job like
Yeah.
everybody else, and why do you put yourself through all this stress? But yeah, no, that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, that's it. There's some.
Yeah.
I think there's some people in this world who just can't do that, and I'm definitely
No.
I'm definitely one of them who's never been able to get to stay in a proper job.
Yeah, yeah.
Not it's not for everyone.
No.
So you met all these business owners and you chatted to them, and I'm guessing they gave you advice and help and support, and you shared stories, as you said, and that kind of help you through that kind of those first 3 years, those first kind of difficult times. And you've got like also this like amazing presence on Instagram, which I think is really cool. So how did that come quite naturally, or did you kind of build that up over time and kind of figure out what things worked and that sort of stuff, or did you look at other people? How did you figure out how to do that?
one of the things I try not to do is look at other people, because I think it puts me off my own journey. I just get very, I've got to try and just
caught up.
focus on what I'm doing, because as soon as I start looking at other people, it's like, oh my God, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. So that's quite hard. I guess Instagram in particular has always been a platform where people have been really kind of supportive. So I've always been kind of been able to be more open and honest about what I'm doing, and just have fun with it as well. So I don't really know how. It's definitely kind of, I think I did get lucky at one point where Instagram was a lot easier to reach people. So I did gain quite a few followers at one time, but I'd say definitely now it's harder to do that. And actually, I don't think you need to get lots of followers these days.
It's
just have to.
It's a different, it's different beast, isn't it? Now it's like it's so difficult to kind of build a following on Instagram. I think it's a lot slower. But as long as you get kind of those good followers, not kind of, you know, you don't want a load of bots or you know, people who aren't interested. It depends on the kind of, it's more about the quality, isn't it, of the followers?
Definitely.
And people interested in your product.
So
with you, I would say you're kind of like, you are kind of, part of the whole package, aren't you, of your business? You're kind of the face, and it's very connected to you. You kind of put yourself out there on Instagram, and on your website you've got kind of all your story on there, and you're kind of connecting with your customers on that level. Do you think that's kind of something that businesses like yours have to do now? That's kind of part of the deal. You can't just be like, oh, here's some products, please buy them. You have to be like, look, this is the story behind it, I'm the person who's made it, that sort of thing.
Definitely. You can even see it with all the big companies now. They're all kind of like jumping on the bandwagon of trying to
like, stop copying
be
us.
that person behind. I know, because it kind of gives us small businesses that, you know, that edge, but now the big companies are doing it. Like, some of them trying to make out they're small companies, but they're not.
Absolutely.
But I do think it's important. But if you're not kind of keen on getting your face, I mean, I used to hate doing stories. I still do, and actually, I really, not all the time. Some moods, I find it really easy, and I'm talking away. But some days it's really hard, and I just think the way to do it is just try. Even if you don't post it, just try it and then try it again. But honestly, don't spend so much time over it. You've just literally got to throw things up there, especially for stories. And people just want consistency, that, you know, there's a lot of people just following you. They do want to know the everyday, which might seem, it is sometimes, I think, you know, oh God, I'm posting this again. But I think you've got to kind of be in people's eye, which is, I realise that's quite draining, like mentally. You can't really take a break from it, but it does seem to be the way we have to kind of promote our businesses these days.
Absolutely. So how do you get through that kind of feeling of it being draining? Do you have any kind of tips for that?
It is difficult. I think, you know, I've been in bed late at night, 11 o'clock at night, thinking, what am I going to post today? And actually, times like that, just put the phone down, leave it. And worry about, you know, get up next day fresh, go outside, go for a walk, do whatever you need to do. And I think what I'm learning more now is the best way is to kind of sit down, like block off certain time in the day or in the week, like say 2 hours on a Wednesday afternoon. I'm going to plan what I'm going to write on Instagram, my post for next week or something on Instagram. And I think I don't actually do that at the moment. I keep trying,
Yeah.
But I think that's the best way, because when I
Yeah.
have done it, it's not creeping into your everyday or your evening
Yeah.
or late at night.
Yeah.
And if you could just have that focus and
Yeah.
write a week's worth of posts, even if you don't use them or you change them,
Yeah.
but you've got them there. And I think that mentally, I think that's the best way, because otherwise it
Yeah.
gets very draining.
Yeah, because you have to, as you say, you have to kind
Yeah.
of break your flow of doing something else and go back to, oh God, I've got a post. I need to think of something right now. That sort of thing.
I'm bad at it.
I think you're great at it. I think your posts are fantastic.
Yeah,
but yeah, it is draining to kind of put yourself out there and all the time and kind of be on there all the time. It is a lot, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think
it is.
for anyone. I think it's kind of for your mental health as well. I think it's too much.
Yeah, there's probably going to be some better way of managing it all at some point. I haven't quite discovered it. I know there's some apps now that you can use, like Later and like Facebook. You can schedule posts and stuff. But it kind of loses it then.
They all have a bit of their limitations, though, I think.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm still working that one out, so I'll let you know when I've mastered it.
Yeah, let me know.
I will.
So, with your business now, do you feel like you're at a good place? Do you think you have achieved everything you want to achieve, or is there lots more to do? How are you feeling about it?
I feel very good that I've made it to 10 years. I don't know where the time's gone, but
yeah, it's amazing.
I keep thinking, no, I really need to celebrate this milestone, because it has been quite a journey, and I'm just thinking, God, could I do another 10 years? I feel I could. I feel I've still got a lot to offer, and I've still got ideas and things I want to do, designs I want to bring out.
Yeah.
I think the change for me will probably be trying to get more help in, because it's very hard when you're doing everything on your own to keep fresh. And that's the hard bit. So yeah, it's just letting go, and that's something I've got to learn.
So who would you get in?
It would probably be someone who could help me with like a lot of managing the website and the other platforms I sell on, and helping with kind of SEO, maybe a bit of marketing stuff. So it's difficult though, but I think for my own sanity, and also if I do want to keep growing, otherwise I'm just going to kind of get stuck at a level.
Yeah.
And I do want to keep growing.
So just kind of pushing forward and getting some help.
Yes, definitely.
And do you feel like you're always having to work all the time? Do you ever I know you've just been on holiday and we've spoken about that, but when you were on holiday, did you still have to kind of manage your business and
I checked emails every day, and I haven't had a holiday without doing that for a long time. But actually, this was the first holiday I had where I felt like I could switch off a bit more, because I've got obviously a warehouse fulfillment company that send my orders out, and we've just implemented a couple of new processes which makes it a lot smoother. So I felt like I could
oh great,
sit back a little bit, which was really good. And also there's a lot more automations now with kind of email campaigns. So I actually set a couple up to go when I was on holiday, which isn't always the best thing, because then that obviously can lead to kind of a bit more work, but it just means you can keep things running while you're away. But then I think nowadays there's no harm in just shutting everything down if you can, and just having that break. And I wish I was better at it, but I'm not. I think I'm a little bit addicted to work.
Well, that's your baby. There's something you created from scratch, your business, isn't it? So it's totally understandable. You want to kind of keep checking in on it.
But it is hard when you kind of building a business to take time off. But it is a good because you just feel so much more creative when you come back, and
Yeah.
you just don't realize how kind of drawn into it you've been.
Yeah.
You just got to step away, and then you can look back in on it.
I think it's incredible what you've accomplished. I think it's so amazing that you've built something from scratch, and you kind of and done it all yourself pretty much. Well, you have done it all yourself, and a lot of people wouldn't have done that. A lot of people would have got help in a lot earlier, and that you're only kind of thinking of doing that
Well,
now.
that's probably I think getting help in is probably those are the people that are doing really well.
But yeah, you've got to.
I think if
You've
you
done.
can,
But you've done so much that it's. I think it's so cool. And now, if you want to, you can kind of
thank you.
start thinking about that as well, can't you? So think about some help
Mm,
and moving forward and growing and getting and dominating the market.
yes, I know.
So, um,
Yeah.
can I talk to you a bit about? So it's been. I know you said it's been difficult. The first 3 years were really difficult, and you did have a fire in your belly when you started, and you were really kind of excited. And you knew that this was what you wanted to do. But how did you get through those 3 years when things were really tough? What kind of mentally? What did you use kind of tools? Did you step away? What did you do for yourself to help you carry on, keep going?
Well, I think everything kind of got to a head when I've moved out of the home and moved into an office, and I was paying like, I don't know, it was like £600 a month in rent or
Oh my
something
God, that's so
ridiculous.
much. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and it was just for this little room. I was trying to post out all the orders on my own, running down to the post office. It was just awful, and I just couldn't cope. And I just remember handing him the notice. Luckily, I could get out the contract of
Okay.
this unit, and I came back home, and I obviously then had to clear out the whole unit and bring it back into my home.
Oh, exhausting.
And I just sat on the sofa with all this stuff in the living room, and I thought, what am I doing? And it was just a real kind of breakdown moment. I
Yeah.
just didn't know how to get out of it. And actually, a friend came round, and she said, what's going on? Looks like you're not coping. And I said, yeah, I'm not. And then kind of yeah, she kind of went, and then I didn't hear from her again. And I just thought, oh my God, I really am on my own here.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
my
I thought you were going
mess,
to
and I've
say
got to kind of
she's going to help you there.
no,
She
no, she didn't. I just
Oh
I
my
just
God.
felt nobody really understood
Yeah.
what it was like, because
Yeah.
unless you're kind of unless you kind of got your own business, you don't really get it.
Yeah.
You just go to work every day, and that's all right. So
Yeah.
yeah, this was like rock bottom moment. And then I think the turning point was actually, I found a fulfillment company in Burgess Hill, and thankfully they took all my stock. Well, I took it down to them, and then we got the systems in place, and they started to post my orders out. So I knew that like really freed up a hell of a lot of time. I
Yeah.
wasn't like going to the post office every day. And I think it was just slowly, I think everything kind of built up, but it was just trying to kind of break it down into bits. Like I knew I had to focus on the orders, and that's the main point, is getting the product to the customers.
Yeah.
So getting that sorted, and then that gave then obviously I had the time then to do a bit more marketing. And I think it was, I can't say it was like one kind of moment where I suddenly thought, oh, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. But it was definitely kind of breaking it down into sections. And I did try different people to help me. Like I remember going to kind of like a life coach for a couple of sessions, or and while that kind of didn't work out, it did help for that kind of month, you know.
Right.
And then I think I tried a business consultant who he came round like once a month, um, And actually, I think if I'd actually talked to businesses and maybe done a bit more kind of networking or chatting to other online businesses and stuff, which I do now, I might not have felt so alone, and I would have had ideas and people to talk to. But I think I just spent far too much time trying to figure it out on my own. And
do you think there was an element of pride there? Like you didn't want to, like you were like, I'm doing this on my own. Like no one, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't even know if, I mean, did they have like Facebook? I know they did have Facebook groups and stuff, but I don't remember like all this. There's loads now. Like there's loads of like small business networks,
Yeah, there
but I
are.
just probably wasn't looking for it or didn't think about it. Yeah, if I was starting again now, I would definitely grab all the help I could get. I think as well now there's so many more people doing it, aren't there? So there's a lot more people to ask.
Yeah, and also a lot more competition, which I suppose is a bit more
Yeah,
tricky as well.
yeah, that is true. That is true.
Can you talk to me a bit about your designs and where they came from, and what kind of, how you kind of, you were like, okay, this is kind of exactly the style I want, and things like that. How did that come about?
I think in my previous jobs as graphic designer, I think I just developed this very kind of clean and simple style. I didn't have any patterns or filling up the space. It was very much like clean lines and lots of space. I remember learning about white space and, you know, use the white space. So I
Leave
thought,
a space
yeah,
there.
I don't know, that stuck for some reason. I think in my own head, I like space.
Yeah.
So I think I wanted to put it on products because I thought, okay, let's have a moment while we're sitting here having a nice cup of tea. You've got lots of space. Take time out from your work, and there you are. You've just got one little character on the mug, and it's just something that's personal to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously the cats were my first designs,
Yeah.
and yeah, I've always kind of drawn cats, like just doodled them on a pad, and I've always drawn that sitting cat shape from like years ago. It's a reminder of my own cat that I used to have when I was growing up. Who obviously, that story's on my website.
Yeah.
But yes, stuck in my head, that one. And yeah, and I thought, well, there's lots of kind of like crazy cat things out there for people, but there wasn't many kind of simple, sophisticated, kind of clean designs. So I thought, okay, no, this is lovely, and I'm sure other cat lovers are gonna love it, even if they've like had a cat and they don't have a cat anymore. It was something for them. So yeah, that's how that one started. And then obviously the designs followed, like sitting dog, and then I came up with the woodland animals, and yeah, I've kind of been able to reach a wider audience, bringing out different characters. But
lots of choice for different people if they like different animals and things like that.
yeah,
and I like the idea that you when you were talking about at the beginning, that kind of simple, clean thing, and when you're sat there, so it's almost like kind of zen or mindfulness in a way, isn't it? Kind of you're kind of connecting with that one thing, or concentrating on that one thing. You've got that one design on there, and with mindfulness or meditation, you're only concentrating on one thing, like you're breathing quite often. And so and then you've got that space, so you're just being, and you're being in that space. So it kind of for me, I don't know about other people, but that's my
no,
my
that's
take on
true.
it. I get
Yeah,
that calmness from it.
I've never thought of that, but that's exactly what I've probably created, really, because that's what I've wanted. It's like
it is,
everything's so busy, and it's just that moment you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of, that break from such a busy life, and everything going on. And as you say, everything is so busy when you go online and you've got all these ads and things
I know.
everywhere, and it's just, it's, Instagram, you're just kind of scrolling. There's so much information going into our brains now on a daily basis.
I
It's
know.
insane. And I don't know, it must be changing our our brains in some horrific way,
Yeah,
probably.
I think we're all speeding
uh,
up a lot, aren't we? I mean, I haven't got any attention span
yeah.
anymore. So, yeah, it's
That's gone.
constantly
That's
going
gone
from
out the
app
window.
to app. Yeah,
Oh well.
I know.
Never mind.
Yeah,
No, this is the issue, isn't it? It's just, there's too much stuff. And
yeah,
I love that your products are reminding people of that, kind of taking that space and sitting and calm and being calm for a bit. That's a really
definitely.
lovely philosophy. And have you got any other kind of insights into, so if someone wanted to start doing what you're doing, what would you say to them? What would you advise them? Obviously, to talk to other business owners, I suppose, and do their research to start off with. Would there be anything else that you might want to, any gems of advice that you might want to share?
I think where I went wrong was probably bringing out lots of different products and just hoping that something would sell. And I think nowadays you don't have to actually spend the money on all the stock.
Right.
You can, there's much easier ways of getting samples and testing it with your audience and kind of putting it on Instagram saying, what do you think of this or what do you think of that? Whereas I think when I started, it was, right, you've got to order 100 of these and
Right.
see how they go. I've still got stuff in the
Then you're stuck with
I've
them.
literally still got stuff in the warehouse that I've had from when I first opened, and
Oh my
yeah,
god.
it's not the way to do it anymore. So
Yeah.
I think start small as well. Don't. I think most people would do this anyway because financially it's better as well if you just kind of start with 2 or 3 designs and
Yeah.
focus on them and
Yeah.
maybe focus on 1 or 2 products and don't go all out trying to build a massive collection.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that's what I'm going to do with mine is kind of try and whittle it down now because I've almost got too many products,
Okay.
too many designs. So it's about focusing and obviously really go niche as well.
Yeah.
That's what I think that's the real key.
So what, niche with the products or niche with the audience, do you think? Or is it both?
I think niche, yeah, both really. I mean, like for me, I've got obviously lots of different animals, but I could quite easily just focus just on cats, and that would make it a lot easier just to kind of create cat stuff for cat people. And then
Yeah.
you know who your target audience is.
That's it. That's a good
It's a little
strap
bit
line as
harder
well.
with, yeah,
Cat stuff for cat people.
it's harder. Yeah, when you've got cats and then you bring out a pig and it's like, okay, so now I've got to go and try and market
For
this
cat
pig.
for cat and pig people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where it's become tricky.
Yeah.
So niche is the key, definitely.
And did
Yeah.
you know when you first started and you had, maybe you had an idea of who your audience were, did that kind of translate? Did that happen? Were the people who bought your stuff the people you expected to buy your stuff?
I think with the cats that they have always been the consistency, and that like the audience with them, they've
Okay.
always been there, and yeah. But I remember I bought out these mugs, word mugs, messages on mugs just didn't work, and
Right.
didn't quite know the audience because I actually thought I was going to get a load of. I had some like ones for the LGBTQ audience as well, which I didn't. I thought I was probably going to be going down that road and maybe getting like I wanted to do mugs for kind of like civil partnerships and weddings
Right.
and that kind of stuff, and that just didn't seem to take off really.
Okay.
And I know there's a lot more now. There's a lot more kind of products out there, but actually that's probably something I could have gone down, and I didn't. I just ended up kind of sticking with the animals because it.
Yeah.
Um,
And was that because
yeah,
you felt like you were more connected to the animals really once you started doing it, you kind of realized?
it was the response. Yeah, it was
Oh,
the
was the
response I
response.
got
Okay.
really.
Right.
Yeah, and that people were relating to the story, and then I was hearing their stories
Okay.
about their animals, their cats, and I think it was naturally. I think that was where it was taking me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Sometimes it kind of it happens, doesn't it, in that way. You kind of try something and you
Hmm.
think that will be the path, and then no, you kind of drawn back to this, and it sort of carries on in that direction. But it's almost like there's something innate in you that kind
I
of
know.
knows. But yeah,
I think so.
there's a I kind of sometimes think of it. Have you seen the film Donnie Darko with the kind of path that he comes out of him and leads him to different
Mm,
areas? I don't know if you remember that film.
no,
But
I
anyway,
haven't.
it feels like a bit like that, I think. It's kind of maybe not preordained or anything like that, but kind of you've got something in you that wants to do, you've got an
Mm,
intuition that wants to do certain things.
I think so.
And sometimes your mind gets in the way and wants to try something else
Yeah.
because logically, oh, we should be doing this, and then that's not quite right. It's not kind of fitting together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. I think that's what happened really. You follow your heart, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah. Follow your heart, but sometimes you don't know what your heart wants, and you're kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes you get a bit
that's true.
confused, don't you, with what you
I
should
know,
do.
and you kind of have to focus on one thing. I would have loved to have done like a range of like gay wedding mugs and stuff. I really would, because there's never enough. There's just not no choice out there. There is more now, but
Yeah,
there wasn't a few years ago. And maybe if I'd had a bit more money behind me or something, I could have kind of done something with that. But it was, you know, I, you can't do everything. And I love cats. I'm
yeah.
not saying,
And also, I guess it has to kind of align with what you're doing
yeah,
already in a way. Because if you've got that customer base and you've got that audience, they might not align with you, as you say,
yeah,
doing words on things when
mm,
you've always done drawings, and then you're suddenly going and doing words and things like that. It's it's a
yeah.
bit confusing, and then the customer's confused, and then they
I
don't buy
know
it, and then
it doesn't work.
so. But sometimes
Mm,
that can trap you as well. So because you
that's
should be
true.
able to try different things, and it's a tricky one.
Yeah, it is tricky. You're right. I guess it's testing the audience. If you can kind of link
Yeah.
up the two, that's the best way.
I guess also, as you say, you can test
Yeah,
things now. You could mock up a mug with these things on it and say,
I
who would buy
know.
this? And just have
Mm,
a little, I guess, an Instagram
yeah,
poll
but
or something like that.
that's a interesting lesson though, because what people say they like doesn't always equal purchases.
That's interesting.
So sometimes something will go really well, and they'll go, "Yeah, yeah, I'd buy it," but when you actually launch it, it doesn't always
They're
happen.
liars then,
So make
basically.
sure you ask your make sure, or they just maybe at that moment don't want to buy it at that time, but
Yeah,
maybe one day. But obviously, your customers, if you can kind of do lots of an email campaign and ask them, then they are really good to
right.
kind of get
So that's a
feedback from
better route
on
to
new
kind of,
stuff.
yeah,
Definitely.
email list. And I guess
Would
email,
definitely ask the Instagram people as well.
okay. And email list, you've mentioned that a few times, and I think that is something that people need to focus on if they're going to have any kind of business. I suppose is kind of building that list and having a load of people on a list. Yeah,
Definitely.
it's getting straight
Yeah.
to
It's
them.
also a really good way of connecting with, yeah, really good way. I know that you think people aren't reading emails, but they do.
Yeah,
And you can put a bit more information in there and make it really personal,
yeah,
um, and just keep in touch with them. So, you're basically developing relationships with people, and I chat to loads of my customers now on email, and
Oh,
I get some lovely replies, and it does make you, it helps the
yeah,
journey, because you know that people are actually listening and interested.
absolutely. And they're
Yeah.
connecting with what you're doing, and that is like the basis of what you're doing, isn't it? You're trying to connect with people through these products. There's a
Yeah,
shared connection
definitely.
there.
Mm,
There's a love of animals. There's a love of
I
cats.
know.
There's a love of space and simplicity and
Mm,
calm. And so you're putting that out to your customers, and they're responding, and that connection, as you say, I think for any artist, which you should be calling yourself an artist,
mm.
is what it's all about. It's making that connection between so you've got the piece of work or whatever you've created and the audience, and that magic. Oh, whoops, that magic that happens in between. And I think that's those where the sparks are and things, and the joy.
That's so true. That's such a lovely way of looking at it, because it is such a joy.
Yeah,
When someone buys something that you've made,
yeah,
it's so, I'll never get tired of that, because it's lovely. And then they, write to you and say, I've got one of your mugs, and it's just,
oh,
that is pure joy,
yeah,
isn't it?
absolutely. It's incredible
Really?
that someone wants to they're kind of becoming part of your gang in a way, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Your cat gang.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
maybe.
do you have any regrets, or you all good? You're happy that you've done this?
I am.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't have any
good.
regrets. Because there's a lot of things I didn't want to do, and this has just given me, I don't know, it's given me an identity which I didn't have for a long time.
Yeah,
Um, and I've
yeah.
created
From
my own after
scratch.
all those years of trying to
Mm.
fit, fit in
Yeah.
places. It's like, well, I don't need to fit in anymore. I've got my own.
Yeah,
Um,
brilliant.
so yeah, no
Oh,
regrets
fantastic.
yet.
That's great. I mean, I think it's incredible. I think your journey is incredible and inspiring, that you made a decision and you did it, and you've created it, and you've been doing it for 10 years, and you've built a wonderful customer base, you've built connections, you've created a range of beautiful products that people use in their homes for a long time. And yeah, I think it's a fantastic journey, and I hope people learn from it. And yeah, fantastic. So lastly, I'd like to just plug, have you got anything coming up, or can people find, obviously they can find your products online and on Instagram. Can't remember what's your Instagram handle at?
It's Jin Designs,
All one
Jin
word.
Designs. So it's Jin
Yeah,
Designs. Yep, all one word. And obviously, website is jindesigns.com, and I have all the collections on there.
fantastic.
There is going to be lots of new stuff coming out. I've got a new version of a design. A very popular design that's coming out in the coming weeks. So
Fantastic.
yeah, there's lots to look forward to.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jen. You've been fantastic, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you,
And
Lucy.
yeah,
Thank you.
thanks so much. Take care. I really hope you enjoyed that chat. I think it's really insightful and so much advice in there for people starting out who want to kind of follow the same path as Jin. And remember to go to becominganartist.co.uk if you want to download Jin's path. And also remember to subscribe if you want more stories like this one. Thank you.